Hello, I'm Amabohini Anda, founder of Menfit Foundation. You may ask what Menfit Foundation is all about. It means mentoring for youth development. Basically, we mentor the youth and also we emphasize on young women because that has been my passion. That has been something that I've always loved to do. And I have been a mentee before, believe it or not, and it did benefit me in the end. So, it is not always that one gets the opportunity to be a female and work as a physician to a head of state. And that is where the story all started from. Being a physician to a former president of Ghana, President John Ejekum Kufuor, who helped me a lot in my journey to be who I am today. I decided that I should make my experiences available to young people as well, especially women. So I wrote the President's Physician book several years ago, and I have decided that I shouldn't be so selfish and think that I am the only one who has been the first of many. And therefore, I'm counting on a lot of young women to also tell their real life stories. So today we have in the studio a phenomenal woman, and her name is Ms Audrey Selormey. Audrey has that look on her face because we've met we've met before, but I'll say that she's somebody who has an incredible story, lovely entrepreneurial journey. She's a mentor to many, and by the end of this conversation, you would know who Audrey really is. Audrey, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much, Doc. It feels a bit funny having to call you Doc when I know you, informally for so long. I mean, I've known you my entire journey. Entire life, literally. It is indeed an honor to be sat with you here. When we talk about phenomenal women, you're one of them.
Oh,
certainly.
wow.
Definitely. Flatter me, I flatter you.
Oh, so it's going to be a flattering. It's going to be,
a flattering
essentially.
Session, yes. But
yes.
Those who don't know me, my name is Audrey Selormey, as Doc said, and I'm the founder, CEO of Booker Restaurant. And I think for most people, that's what they identify me with. But before that actually happened, it had been a long journey to that point. Continues to be a journey nonetheless. But it's the most enjoyable ride I've had in my life so far.
Wonderful. So, Audrey, I spoke to you about the 5x5 project. It's actually a project. I'd let the audience know as well. So, counting on these phenomenal women, I picked 5 women from West Africa. So, one from Gambia, one from Benin, one from Nigeria, one from Ghana, and then one from La Côte d'Ivoire. And we picked 2 Muslim women and 3 Christians. And they are telling their unadulterated life stories. It takes a certain kind of woman to do that. I spoke to you about it, and you pitched your tent with us. I would like to know why. Because there's so many things you could be sponsoring. So why did you choose to sponsor this event?
First and foremost, it was you. You're a woman. Yourself with a very phenomenal story, like I said earlier, but also because I think that it's important to let those stories be told. Our youth are being formed and shaped by the media, really. And what they are feeding on is not necessarily what life truly is. And so if we can get a different perspective, we can find people who made it, but who tell the true story of their journey. Why not? Because we have daughters, and we want our daughters, if not ourselves, our daughters to be able to, tap into all this resource and use that as a guide to their lives. Because, when I speak to young people, where their minds are right now is not where our minds were when we were growing up, So when we had the chat, I said, no. We have to make sure we get this thing off the ground. It's very important for me as a woman, as a mother, and generally as an entrepreneur, because all of this goes down, it filters down to everybody in society and every generation in society if we get the real stories being told and told the proper way.
Right. So you have a real story to tell. I mean, I'm not going to dig in and ask you too many details, but what interests me most is your entrepreneurial journey, because I know where Buka started from. And recently we came there, and I was telling my friend who brought me, and I said to him, every time I walk in there, there's something different. Is the chair is different. There's an area where you can take photos. The lights are different, and it has just been amazing. You've done so well with the space. Can you give us a little bit about your journey? I know you keep saying that you've told this story over and over again, but like I said, it will impact so many other people.
You know what they say, when you keep telling your story, it becomes so watered down that nobody's listening to it. But I like to say it regardless. I mean, I'm the eldest child of 5 children. I grew up with professional parents. Obviously, in our era, we had nothing like career counseling. You know, you were born, you were educated, you know, you chose a field, or the parents chose it for you, so to speak. But in retrospect, I don't really think I knew what I wanted to be or wanted to do. And so life found me first in banking. And then after banking, that was when I lived in England, I came back home and I decided, had enough of that corporate life. I'm not going to do that. But still went into semi-corporate because I worked for a South African construction company in the day. I was administrative manager. And even that, it was like... So basically, my foray into entrepreneurship started when I had my kids. I was in the States. And in those days in Ghana, we didn't have international direct dialing. You had to buy a card, and it was called the Seal card in the day. So my husband then said to me, oh, listen, we live in Abidjan, but you know, in this in Ghana called the Seal card, why don't you try and see if we can actually get the dealership for Cote d'Ivoire? I think my twins were not even 4 weeks old. And I got up, I was in Maryland, took a taxi all the way to Virginia.
Wow.
And then obviously I had booked an appointment with a lady there, and she was called Tara Janice. I'll never forget her. And I said to her, well, I'm moving into Abidjan, and obviously this is new in the sub-region. It's doing well in Ghana. We're thinking of doing it in Cote d'Ivoire. And look, it didn't take more than 45 minutes for me to get in principle that they would work with me.
Okay.
So obviously they'd given it to me, went into Cote d'Ivoire, moved to Cote d'Ivoire, went into Cote d'Ivoire, but it wasn't as easy. And obviously you had to deal with their local communications authority. I was a Ghanaian, I was a woman. We had an Ivorian partner, but I don't think that he was able to pull the strings for us to get it. So eventually we sold it as a tool, a travel tool for people who were traveling out of Abidjan. They could buy the card, and then they could use it as a travel card to get some units and stuff like that. So we did that a bit. Fast forward a few years later, the people running the company, the franchise here in Ghana, ran into all kinds of problems, and it was offered to me.
All right.
But I had to manage distribution all over Accra. I think I had over 50 outlets, because almost every Shell shop had one. We were stocking the card, and I was dealing in Kumasi as well.
Wow.
But it was in between here. I was living between here and Cote d'Ivoire, so it wasn't as easy for me. And I just feel like probably didn't even have the interest at some point. And so that died.
Before you go on, I think this is part one probably of the entrepreneurial journey. There's something you said, so I'll just push your mind back a little bit. There's something you said about your background. You came from a background like me, I would say an upper middle class background. I always tell people that coming from that background does not guarantee you success.
Never.
Right. So growing up in that space, what were your thoughts about, because you have plenty, you don't feel like you are in want, and you have plenty. Was that for you? Was that a positive aspect of things, or was that a negative aspect?
Oh, most definitely it was positive. I mean, growing up privileged, you almost didn't know how the other side lived, except when obviously you know that in families, there are some who had done well for themselves, and you probably were from that home. One thing I must say, though, is that in our day, we didn't have that spirit of looking down at people who you felt were a bit less fortunate than you were.
Right.
It was a very level playing field for us all. I don't think going into school, I was conscious of the fact that my father had a certain car and my friend's father drove another car. We didn't pay attention to those material things in the day. When I say it was a privilege, it was a privilege because I didn't grow up. When I look today at what my childhood was like, I don't think that I lacked nothing.
Right.
I wanted for nothing,
Right.
Everything was provided for us. We had in our day, what we call a good education. Today, good education means that you're going to some dollar-paying school.
Yeah. Yep.
And for some of us who also took our kids out, that's what but basically we had a fairly good life. And I think that it was good for us. What our parents gave us, and I like what you said initially, what our parents gave us was good background, but they gave us a foundation.
Right.
Which I feel that is lacking now in a lot of homes.
Right. That's true. The other thing, I mean, you walked into a place and you didn't know the lady per se. It must take some sort of confidence. And I know my parents gave me a lot of confidence. Sometimes it was over the top, I would think, because you walk into a place and everybody's wondering, who's this? And, because you wear the confidence. My father always said, to be overconfident is a problem, but you must be confident. So obviously, you walked in there with some confidence.
I had confidence. I walked in there. I mean, I didn't know what to expect, to be very honest with you. Even as you asked me about my journey, I tell people till today, I'm an accidental success. And when I say accidental success, because I wasn't intentional. I wasn't getting up every day and deciding, this is what I want to do. In 4 years, I want to have bought a house, or I want to have done. I didn't. All I knew to do was to give whatever it was that I wanted to do my utmost best.
Okay.
If you ask me today, or a question I was asked me yesterday, are you at the top? No. I'm still on a journey. Life is a journey. We're all on a journey till the day we're called home.
That's true.
And that's the final, destination.
That's true.
So we're learning. Every day is a learning curve for everybody. I learn every single day. Somebody says something, I look. You know what I mean? So for me, I don't think that I had any expectations when I walked into that office.
Right.
But I was pleasantly surprised when they decided to do that. And it didn't stop there. After I'd finished, that card business, I went into yogurt.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes.
But all this, I see all this being purpose-driven.
Exactly.
The word is purpose. You purpose, you have some sort of conviction, or you go in there thinking, okay, I'm going in there. It could either be positive or negative. It could either work or not work. So we're done with the card business.
Yes, we're done with the card business. We've gone on to yogurt business.
Audrey.
Why did yogurt business
come up?
So after living in Cote d'Ivoire, I realized that there was the French have a real yogurt culture.
Okay.
They love a lot of yaourt, as they call it. And there was this brand that my kids loved. And every time I would visit Ghana, I'd bring for my nieces and nephews. And it wasn't on the shelves in Kuala and things like that in the day. So I thought, why not? And you believe it. We had a Ford Transit van. I went to EPPL. I bought some polystyrene sheets. I went off somewhere, bought metal sheets. I created my own, with the help of my carpenter. I created something to fit in the back of my truck so that we could drive to the border and collect our yogurt.
Refrigerator truck right there.
That was me doing my own a reefer truck, my dear. Done by myself. But obviously, without the requisite knowledge, I wasn't an engineer. So it went, got to the border, collected my loot, but didn't make it in wholesomeness back to Accra. Because by the time it got back, the road was bad, so some of the pots were punctured or damaged, and you couldn't supply.
Wow.
So I thought, you better hang your boots on that one. So I went on to my next venture.
Right.
I'm a serial entrepreneur.
You obviously are. I mean, people probably think you just jumped from
Not
your
at all.
house to...
And I like to tell this story because, like you mentioned, even Booker has been going for 23 years.
Wow.
And my entrepreneurial journey has been probably maybe over 30 years.
Right.
So this has all gone, like you said, it was all part of the process to get me to where I am today. I mean, the other business I did was baby clothing.
Oh, I remember that because I was
Yes.
buying clothes from there for my first daughter.
That's it.
Really
So
cute stuff.
A lot, and that was another thing where I just reached out to Mothercare UK and said I wanted to have their dealership for Ghana.
Purpose.
And the guy, I remember something Ali, his name, I remember as well. He said, no problem. If only you can meet the demands. But that was not necessarily the easiest of business. It was fulfilling because I had young children, and every time I got an order, they got nice clothes.
Yeah.
You know, and then
the
I
clothes
saw
were
a lot
lovely.
of babies. I mean, I did layered stuff, which people weren't doing as professionally. We did have a Mothercare then, Mothercare in Osu, but she wasn't the bona fide representative of
Right.
Mothercare UK. She was probably buying from somebody else, from a retailer or something, and selling it here. So I had it. So you would come in there from cut bumpers, so the whole thing, baby grows, the whole lot. We had it in the store. But then again, there was a hurdle, and the hurdle was that I had then recently become a single mother, which meant that I was living off my earnings, which were not enough. So I eroded my capital base.
Right.
And I wasn't able to had so much. I think I had then in the day, which was almost 25 years ago, I then had I had to do a yearly minimum quantity of £100,000.
That's a lot.
And it meant me having to go to the banks at times. And I couldn't afford their interest rates because in that day, the interest rates were close to 40%.
Oh, no.
And so that wasn't working for me. So I sat down and I had just joined a prayer group. And with the lady, I said to her, you know what? I'm thinking of opening a restaurant. Now, that came from my time in Abidjan because in Abidjan, there's a marquee everywhere where you can just go and eat acheke and, grilled fish or grilled chicken and things like that. Really nice. And I thought, why? Why don't we start one? But Yvonne, Tante Marie, had started a marquee and Ivorian thing there.
Ivorian, I remember that.
And that was just in 2000 when President Kufuor had come into power and the trade across the West Africa had been liberalized.
Yes.
So obviously you had the influx of Nigerian business. And the Nigerians were here. Nigerians, if you know a Nigerian man, wherever he has to eat Nigerian food, vegetable or something.
Yeah.
And so I spoke to this friend of mine and said, you know what, why don't we do this? And actually, instead of calling it, because I maybe unknowingly, I wanted something more international, not local. I didn't want a Ghanaian restaurant. I wanted an African restaurant.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, we've got Nigeria on board. I have Ivorian and Senegalese expertise because I live there. Besides, I love to cook. So this was not me just deciding to have a restaurant.
Right.
But I knew how to do everything. So we had the Nigerian aspect, we had the Ghanaian and the Ivorian aspect. And then we had the Togolese, naturally. And then we had one more, Senegalese. So that's how Booker was born. And I said to people, with 100 CDs in the day, it was 100 CDs in the day, I could go literally to the market and I could buy ingredients and I could cook and I could sell. That was my mentality.
Right. So
And
you
just as I was
weren't
saying,
looking, and there's a big lesson for, the young people out there. They're always looking for some huge capital.
mm,
They are always looking to have the ideal space.
mm,
They are looking to have an ideal office.
mm,
Obviously, that is not what you were looking at.
no.
What were you looking at the time?
For starters, a livelihood. Um, by all means, you don't go into business not to make money.
Absolutely.
But I think more importantly, I wanted to do something fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, my journey was till that moment was building me up for that moment.
Right.
Okay. And since then, when I talk to my mentees, I tell them all the time, do not despise humble beginnings.
Right.
And if you come to my restaurant and you walk up the stairs, the first picture you get, if you are paying attention, is how Booker started.
Mm.
And it's when we celebrated our 20 years, probably 3 years ago, it was very humbling finding the video and watching the video
When it started.
of the day it opened. And to see things like even my chairs and my tables and what they were like. It's been a journey, a fulfilling one.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't always been an easy one.
Yes.
Sacrifices have been made.
Right.
And when I talk of sacrifices in terms of being a single mother, having children,
Mm-hmm.
so you sacrifice some of your own personal joys, because everything goes into building the business.
Sure.
Even till today, even though I have key persons in managerial roles in the restaurant.
Oh, Audrey, you're there all the time.
I am there 100%.
Because when I get there, most of the time I'll ask, are you there?
I'm there all the time. I tell people the only time I will get a real break is when I'm not in the country. Because if I am in the country, I live 5 minutes away, as you know. There's no way I'm not going to get up and even say that I'm going to have lunch at the restaurant, because that's where I eat.
Right.
So I will get up and I will go to the restaurant and go and have a meal, and inevitably get drawn into what's going
on and
what needs to be done, etc. But
yeah.
I don't complain. I don't ever think that I've had enough of Booker.
Yeah, I think it's something you are passionate about. And I tell people that it is difficult enough going to a job that you are passionate about. And it must be really hard going to something that you have no passion for, you have no love for. So obviously Booker was something that you, from your story. And I love the way you mentioned that you started from very humble beginnings with Booker. And look at it today. People think probably somebody injected some huge capital, which brings me to the next question about young people thinking that they want to run before they crawl. And everything is about money. You ask them to do something, I have no money. You ask them to sell something, I don't have a shop in Laboni or Cantonments, and they don't want to start from scratch. What are your views about this whole money?
To a certain extent, there are many reasons. Number one, the world we live in, social media. And also, I don't think that certain personalities in media are portraying the real story.
Good.
Okay. When it comes, I spoke to a young man yesterday who's also, I have lots of mentees. I love to sit and chat with them. And he came to my office yesterday and we were having a chat, and I said, tell me, he's now married, he's doing his own business. What does it feel like? How, now that you're a grown man, married, living in your own home, what is life like for you? He said, Auntie, I thought I'd be a millionaire by 30.
Wow.
By 25, 30, I'd have made my first million. And I remember hearing the same thing from my son. So reality hits. They are the microwave generation.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is instantaneous. Fame is instantaneous for some people. I don't want to mention names, but there are people in the West who have made money from influencing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not slogging away.
Yeah.
All they're doing is telling you about their day, when they wake up, when they brush their teeth, what brand of, and then somebody picks them up and says,
and
yes,
stuff they use.
Somebody picks them up and says, oh, that's a person. She's
Mm-hmm.
got the hair of the youth. Go on. And they become instant millionaires. Our children follow all these persons.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that our children should think that they're any different from the people who are out there making it?
That's true. That's true.
And then nobody tells you the real story.
Yep.
Somebody looks at me, and by the way, by Ghanaian law, I'm supposed to be retired because I'm 60.
Right.
But people will look at me and not believe that. And they just think, like you said, I arrived at it.
Exactly.
Or I had some rich man pumping money into it.
Yep.
And so because they pumped it into it, I had it. No. I knew every day. Every Mondays, I went to Adabraka Market. Tuesday, I went to Agboglushi Market. Wednesday, I went to Nima Market. Thursday, I was back at Agboglushi Market.
Audrey, I don't mean to be rude, but nobody's going to believe this. I mean,
Friday,
honestly,
I'm telling you.
Yvonne and everybody else. I mean,
look, no, but I made for me, it was stylish. There was a time when I went in there. I had kits and boots and things like that. I walked into the market. In the rainy season, I had my rain. I did it. I did it with style, but I did it.
But you did it because you wanted to know the prices. You needed to make sure that you had a good deal. You know,
I cook. I can decide last Tuesday or so, or last week Tuesday or something. I just decided there was something that was losing its taste because I eat there, so I'm able to pick it. And I tell what I do, and that comes to another topic altogether. For me, life is spiritual.
Yeah.
You can't go away from it. Yeah. The day I decide to taste something is the day that I think I need to make a particular comment on that particular dish. And if I think that they're not getting it right, I go in there.
Mm-hmm.
I have all my fancy gear, and I will enter my kitchen, and I will cook it. Because I like to demonstrate to the people that you're not just working for me, but what you do,
I can do.
Which is very important.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be able to be at the top as people perceive me to be. Mm-hmm. But you shouldn't get to the top without the requisite experience.
Absolutely. And I mean, to your point, I also feel like we are not, and that's why Memphis is telling the real stories now. As mothers, as mentors, as big sisters, we are not telling the real story. Our parents told us the real story, Audrey. I know that you know that.
Or we opened our eyes to see the real story with our parents.
But with not for the youth now, they would rather not listen to what really is the truth. And if you're not careful, what I've found, I don't know whether you think the same, but what I've found is that they call you a naysayer. Because they bring up an amazing idea and you want to bring them down to the ground. I'm sure you've had that as an entrepreneur.
Not only as an entrepreneur, as a mother.
Yes.
Where I have my children telling me how I should be running my business. Because they can do it a certain way.
Yeah.
And by all means, I send them to school to be bigger than me.
Absolutely.
You understand? But what I tell them is that you have the knowledge. I have the experience.
Experience. You're right.
And they are now, all of them, discovering the importance of that experience.
Yeah, but your children, I mean, I come there and I wonder whether entrepreneurship is genetic.
It must be.
Because it must be.
Because all my children are entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
But I struggled with my oldest daughter because she didn't think she had the entrepreneurial thing in her.
Yeah.
But she ended up being in that way. So it happens. I think that for us in our house, much as our parents were not entrepreneurial, but then again, even though my parents were professionals, they always had businesses going.
That's true. Something on the side.
They had business on the
right.
side. You understand? And this age, the children, they want things done on their terms. You know, somebody goes to work, they don't like what the manager says, and they say, I quit.
Exactly.
Because we've made life very easy for them, you know. But life is the greatest teacher you will ever have.
Absolutely.
You know, there is a limit to how much talking I can talk. There's a limit to how many interviews you and I will have.
That's true.
People are given free will to decide what they want to take and what they don't want to. Invariably, life will teach you.
That's true. That's lovely hearing that from somebody who has been through life, and I'm sure it's thrown
many a
curveballs at you.
Many a curveball.
Yes. But another thing, the last thing we'll probably discuss is the art of reading. It doesn't, I tell people all the time, and I want your view on this, it doesn't have to be in a book, as we are putting it, a physical book, because now there are ebooks and the information is out there. But we realize that the culture of reading is fast dying, you know, and that's what this 5x5 book is about. It's just to, you know, when people, we like Okonsa, because you want to know about this woman. It's like, oh, so this woman, so if you put your story in a book, people want to know. I wrote The President's Physician, and trust me, Audrey, people bought that book not because they wanted to read. They wanted to know what happened with President Kufuor. They wanted to know what happened with his accident. They wanted to know why he chose a woman to be his
physician.
Exactly. So what is your experience with trying to put the reading culture, raise the reading culture? I know you love to, you know, pick little books and read.
Recently I went to, what's that place called? It's in Osu. It's run by Preba Green Street.
Right.
And she has a little cute bookstore in there. And I thought to myself, how many people will actually walk in there?
And buy a
For
book?
me, I like the smell of a bookstore. I'm not reading as much now because I do that more as an ebook.
Right.
On my phone,
on your phone
or on my iPad, but not a physical book anymore. And we must admit that life is evolving, so things are changing.
That's true.
So for those who have a book, they must always endeavor to have an e-version of it.
Right. That's true.
The culture is dying because it's not being promoted as much in schools.
That's true.
Remember when we went to school, we used to have things like essay writing, comprehension. You know, there were listed books that you had to do. We all did Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Do you think the kids in school today know who Shakespeare was?
Yeah, they don't. Things have changed so much.
A good friend of mine, a young friend of mine recently was reading this book by Mel Robbins. Is it Just Like That or Leave It Like That or something? It was. And I was like, wow, this actually spoke to me. I've actually told her to get me a copy. You know, there are so many things. And I told somebody as well this morning, I said, yes, we're having a staff meeting at work, and it's like developing the people in the workplace. And I said, yes, we will provide the resource for you. We will also develop our human capital. But our human capital must also learn to develop themselves.
Audrey, I totally agree with you.
And I said to them, we all have smartphones. We spend all our time laughing at silly jokes on social media.
Yep.
I said, save 40% of your data to improve yourself.
Improve yourself.
Wherever you find yourself, get into either a podcast or something on Pinterest, Pinterest is still pictures, but just find relative things that will help grow you.
Make you a better person. Absolutely.
In whatever trade that you find yourself in.
Absolutely.
You know? So that's what I keep saying to them, because I just feel like the youth are just looking for the high, and it's always the next high. So the high is laughing about some silly joke or some silly trend or something. And we're not learning. And we think, we're not improving ourselves. And yet, you look at me and what I have achieved and think that you have to achieve that overnight.
It definitely doesn't work.
No.
It definitely. I tell the mentees as well, but we have this project that we're doing side by side with telling of the life stories. We have the Read and Summarize project.
Okay.
Because I believe that you take the books out there. For example, this book is going to go to the schools at JHS, so catch them early is what I call it. So you take it to them, they read the book. If you're going to summarize the book and get a prize for it, you have to read the book from cover to cover. So we're starting with the rural areas, just trying to, reactivate the reading culture. These are physical books, but, for the 5x5 book, which we are launching on the 25th and 26th of March, we have the ebook as well, because for people who may want to read that. So, Audrey, I don't like the typical all too soon.
We've come to the end.
We've come to the end of the show. But it's I must say that because we could sit here and go on and on and on and on.
I feel like I haven't had enough.
Yeah. I feel the same way too.
I feel like I haven't had enough.
But we have to
All
end
good
it at
things
some.
have to end.
They have to end at some point. So, what would be your last words to the young woman out there? I'm going to focus on your entrepreneurial journey or the entrepreneurship part of you, because that area I feel like you have just made amazing strides, and from where you started off and where you are today and where you're going, because like I said, every time I come there's something different. So what would you like to say? Oh, but Audrey, by the way, you missed a young lady yesterday who was here. She makes juice and her company is good beverage company. Amazing. Golda. She was sitting where you're sitting now. And these are the people who should learn from you because they are young and they want to hear from people like you. I told her, I said, you should have a real mentors. It's okay to go on social media and read about somebody who started with, 3 shillings and today is a multi-million-dollar person. But this is Audrey. You can see her, you can feel her, you can go to Buka, you know what Buka was like last year, what it's like today. So what would you say to that young lady, that young man? Because I'm sure the men are going to kill me and say, what do you think? You think we are not entrepreneurs? Now, what would you say to them out there?
First and foremost, thank you so much. I mean, like I said to you, flattery, it gets you everywhere, I'm somebody who hasn't really, not that I don't believe in myself, but I think that, as I said to you, the accolades I get, I mean, I never really sought. And so a lot of the time it comes as a surprise when I hear people speak about me like, in that light, because I'm still turning up every day to try and make a difference in what I do. Right. So like I said to you, it's still a journey and I'm not quite there yet. Life is a journey. And as I said to you in the beginning, everything you're doing now is preparing you for tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Don't despise humble beginnings. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step.
One step, indeed.
Actually, I was just excited hearing you talk about this young lady because that's one of the things I do. I like to support young business if it is in line with my business.
Right.
So I will easily talk to this lady and probably have her juice on my menu.
No, I hope so, because she'll be
I do that. Yeah, I'm looking support. Because you know something, life is about supporting one another.
Absolutely.
You understand?
Agree.
I don't, and if that's what my blessing is, maybe then that was, I just feel like success is not only for you. Don't feel that you've got to guard what you deem your journey to yourself because you don't want anybody to join that journey with you. We all have different destinies.
Absolutely.
One thing I tell people is don't copy anybody. Don't go into business because you think, oh, Audrey made it and I can even do it better.
Mm-hmm.
A lie.
That's
Because
it.
Audrey's grace is not your grace.
Absolutely. Audrey's favor
So
is not your
focus
favor.
on your particular journey.
Mm.
It must be a journey that is filled with passion. It's a journey that you have to persevere. It's a journey that you have to be resilient. And trust me, I tell people all the time, it may look like you're not making it, but one day you wake up and you don't know where it came from. It floods you.
Right.
And then you don't know, is this me?
Is this me?
It is you. So do not despise humble beginnings. Just persevere. But don't copy anybody. Seek your unique journey.
Right.
Because we're all made for a unique journey.
Right, Audrey. So passion, perseverance, resilience. I mean, these are the things that I picked up from what you've said. And of course, life is a journey. Whatever you do in life is a journey is another thing that I picked up from you. And also, just evolving. Because Buka wasn't where it is today is not what it was like yesterday. But if you're ready to put in the passion, the perseverance and resilience, it will evolve into something that you're not expecting. I have learned something today, and I'm sure everybody has learned something from this podcast, especially the young people. You look at Audrey in her stylish attire, looking so... Would you believe
I said
she's
flattery
60?
gets you everywhere.
No, Audrey. That's the truth. That's the truth. But all too soon, which is what I said I didn't want to say, but I'm going to say it's all too soon. It has to come to an end. We've been talking to Ms Audrey Selormey, the brain and the everything behind Buka Restaurant. And it has been such a pleasure talking to you, Audrey. This is Dr. Boyne and Menfit Foundation. We have an amazing event coming up, and it's in the form of a book launch. The 5x5 book, 5 West African women telling compelling life stories. They are phenomenal women, and the stories are varied, interesting, and they are real. And I like to use the word unadulterated because they haven't polished over the story. So they haven't polished their stories. They're giving it to you in the raw form. This is going to happen on the 26th. The open launch is going to be on the 26th of March in the University of Ghana, Legon, at the City Conference Center. The Vice Chancellor, who is the first female Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, has kindly offered to be our host, and she's also going to be our special guest of honor. It's going to be amazing. So the young people out there, the old people out there, join us, listen to these women's incredible stories. It's not going to end with West Africa. From West Africa, we are moving to Southern Africa. Keep following the pages of Menfit Foundation and see what new things we are doing and how we are impacting lives, especially the youth and women. Have a lovely day.